There we go. All right. Hey folks, Taco here. You might notice I've got the door open. That's because Nina's outside buzzing around and I wanted to be able to come right back in. It's chilly. It's not cold, it's chilly. So, although it's probably not good for my heat, we're not freezing in here. Uzi's tucked in on the couch next to me, so we're doing all right. And I'm going to do a little bit of pruning today. Of course, this one's still got some leaves left on it because oaks will hold on to their leaves sometimes to protect their buds. But this one needs a little bit of a trim. I hope you guys can see the whole tree. I might make sure. Mostly you can see up to here, but I'll be trimming farther down than that. So this one, it's nursery stock. It hasn't really been repotted so much as slip potted. What I'd like to do is just try to work on the structure a little bit. I had chopped it here, not a huge chop, just a little one. Then we'll clean it up a little bit. I'm not sure I'm even going to keep that much of it. Oh, not sure where that went. That's all right. I'm not even sure I'm going to keep it this high. I think that when it comes down to it, I'll probably end up cutting it back further. Back to living tissue. I'm actually surprised that these are as sharp as they are. All right, not bad, not bad. There, all right. Got back to living tissue there. Now, in such a said regard, the goal is to have a nice small tree, not terribly small, but smaller than this. So I've got a bud here. I'm gonna try cutting back to it and hope that I get a good structure of it. This is what's up top there. It was good structure, you know, bifurcated and then bifurcated again up here. However, just not the size of the tree I wanted. And you can see this one here is kind of coming from underneath, but this one here is definitely coming from inside and it's opposite to a better branch. So I'm going to cut off this whole thing here. I'm going to do that. Well, I should probably zoom in, shouldn't I, right? Let's zoom in here. There we go. You might be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to come in and take this whole thing off. Ooh. So another big branch coming off. And I'll cut this a little bit tighter and seal that up so it's not going to have any issues. So that's a nice cut. I did nick the tree down a little bit there, I think, but it'll survive. This one here, super weak. Right tool for the job, of course. I'm just going to take it off. It's not worth keeping. And then I've got this other one here that's coming out. It's weak, but I'll leave it. Back in addition to this little bud coming out there, I'll leave that. We'll see what happens. I've got buds everywhere on this tree, which makes me happy because I do want to have good buds. I think I just saw Nina come inside. Hi, Nina. And I use wood glue still. I've got to figure out a better solution because I've been told wood glue kind of isn't the best for sealing up these wounds. But this one is now good to go, ready to go outside. I probably should make this one shorter now that I think about it. So let me make that shorter first. I got a nice bud right here. I'll go ahead and take it to there. All right, I'm going to put this one outside and I'll seal it later when I'm sealing the rest of these. So I'm going to walk away from you guys for a sec. Hopefully you can still hear me because I've still got my microphone on and I'm not out of range, but since Nina's in, I'm going to close that door. All right. So that is the little, it's a pin oak. So Pinocchio is done. All right. Now I've got another outdoor tree you guys either haven't seen very much of or haven't seen at all. This is my Russian olive. So at the farm, we've got a whole bunch of Russian olives. They're very, very invasive, and we're trying constantly to get rid of them. I've got something else growing in here. It's a little ground cover thing. I'm going to leave it. It doesn't bother me at all. If it's taking any energy away from this, I don't really mind. It's an invasive plant again. I've had a couple of these and kind of failed every time, but I'm going to try again with this. So take off some of these down low shoots and clean up the structure. That was dead already. Nice. And over here, all this kind of has to go. So I'm going to go ahead and use this and take off some of these really big shoots here and come real close to the trunk. I do not need anything coming down or coming up, sorry, from ground level. So this whole thing here is going to come off. It's one branch. It's all going to come off. Oh. It's very. By the way, Russian olive, it's quite hard wood. Not that olive wood in general isn't, but Russian olive is quite hard wood. Get in here, just give this a little cleanup too. Now I can't reach because some of the soil line, and then right here, that off. Got some more root suckers in here. I'll cut off. These are small enough; it's not really a big deal whether I do a good job of cutting them off and sealing them. And you kind of have little stumps I leave behind are such small stumps that they won't really affect the final outcome of the tree. Now, I've got two options. I can have this branch grow, make it the new trunk, or I can use this as the trunk. I do like the size of this. I'm not sure it's old enough. See, it healed around one here. I'm not sure it's old enough to be valuable. But as it is right now, I plan on doing a sort of twin trunk. So this on the inside here has got to go. Probably see, you can see much better from that side. So that has got to go. It is no good. No, of course, because it's a very crazy piece of wood here. Oh, it did. Okay. That's out now. Bark here needs to come off. Now, let's see if I can clean up a little bit better. It's a tough angle. That's better. All right. And all this is growing into, really shouldn't be messing with it. But I've got to cut this one off to let this grow up. You can see the top of this might be alive, but it's not alive enough. Ooh, actually, I'd say it's not alive at all. You can see here, there's very little to no green. So I'm going to clean it up a little bit while it faces me. Nothing too exciting to watch, but you know, just to get it, it's healing over versus growing at a funny angle. There we go. So now I've got this as the new leader for that branch. I'm going to cut that back. Yeah. First I'll take off. That's dead. And this is all on the inside here, so I'll take this all off. Do not want it on the inside right now. Again, in the future, I might end up moving it, but as it is, I don't want it. And I can probably keep this one as sort of back branch, so I'll leave it for now. On this other trunk here, everything's kind of growing out from behind. I will leave it all. I don't think it's all going to make it. Just in the case that it can, I'd like to give myself as good a chance as possible. So that is the Russian olive. Nothing impressive right now, but we'll see how it matures and develops. All right, and my last outdoor tree, this one right here. This one is a, well, many people can look at it and tell, a Trident maple. My roots will need a lot of work next year. I think a lot of these surface roots have died off. So now I've got an inverse taper there. I'll have to grow new roots around here next year. This is also a lot drier than I want it to be, so I'm going to give it a little bit of water right now. It rained yesterday, but this thing I'm quite certain soaks up way too much. Again, I'm really hoping this thing's alive because it ran into a lot of issues this year as far as weather and care. But I'm just going to cut it back. I'm trying to keep it a relatively small tree. So all these bits here that are, got a little bit of leaf on there, hasn't quite fallen off. A little bit of green's not a bad sign. I'm going to take this one, cut it back to here. This one, cut it back to here. Oh, on the inside here. And this movement I've got is a result of just cutting it over and over and over. I kind of don't let it grow very much before I cut it again. Cut it right here. And that's kind of the top done. there's not a whole lot else I should be doing right now. I don't mind if there's stuff coming from here or there, anywhere else. The top I'm really pleased with. This first branch here, I got very, very fortunate with. And I'd like to continue to try that, to be very fortunate with this branch. So I don't want this vertical growth here. I don't want this one growing on the opposite here. I don't want this little nub that's right above that. I'll take that off. Now, I can see where I've pruned this thing before. I think I pruned it here before as well. Dead stub there, and I'll prune just above that. It's not great. I still need some more movement to that. However, I don't want to prune so far back that this all goes crazy. Front part of that branch, assuming this is the front, also needs a little bit of help. I'm going to prune that one just beyond where that intersection is. Now, I probably won't end up keeping this. I think I'll probably end up going further back. As it is now, I'm going to let that continue to grow in that way. It is a top grower, like many maples are, so I'm not really concerned with getting this, cut back too far, having a real thick branch on the side there. I'm more concerned with working on the roots on this one. And in the meantime, I'm trying to keep it under control. There it is. I will probably this one right out because I just watered it. I don't want water leaking all over the place in here. It does live outside. I don't give it any kind of special treatment. And it likes it. In fact, all my trees that are outside seem to really like it. I'll put this olive back out there as well. Now, the olive's in a pot that's probably not going to make it through this winter, which is fine as long as the tree does. And then I will just put it in a different pot come spring. All right, no more work outside for me. Now, the important work begins. This is the time where I need to work on my lemon. So first things first, straightening, get all this stuff off of my workstation here. Put some stuff back up on my workstation because I am not just going to be pruning this back a little bit. I think I'm going to repot it. My experience with lemon trees has been very positive. They grow very well. And this one I grew from a seed. Now I'm going to double check my angles here. Make sure we're pretty close. All right, I'm going to come in a little bit closer on this one. Really want to have some good visibility. So there. You can see that it is going to be a twin trunk. It already is, sort of. And I've got lots and lots of, good growth on this. I need to take it back so that it doesn't grow too tall and leave me with issues. I'm going to take this one back. I've got a bud here that's already popping out. This thing's about to go through a growth spurt. Take it back just above that. There's another bud here. On this other side, I can see I've got, I love the smell of this. You can see it's about to go through a growth spurt here. New growth. Over here, I'm in a similar place. Got one right here, so I'm going to cut it back to right there. As long as that's not a thorn, it's an actual bud, I should be in good shape. I am going to take off a little bud here. Make sure it doesn't grow inside. I think that's all I got to do as far as pruning. So, took quite a bit off, but the goal again is to keep this tree growing. Now this had issues. It did fall, but it slipped it back into another pot. It's got a good root coming out the bottom here. I think it's a good time to get out of this pot into a better one. I do not want this to have vertical roots, so I'm going to try to get into this pot. It's a very similar size, but not a similar shape at all. So we'll see how this goes. Ooh. Of course, doesn't want to let go. There we go. All right. So, very good news. Lots of good roots in there. Unfortunately, they've all gone through the old screen. Now, I think what I've got to do is I've got to address this with the screen itself. I don't want to have super deep roots. If I was just to pop it in here, I end up with a tangled mess. I think I've really got to prune these very accurately. Let's see if I can give you guys a little bit of visibility. So you see it's got a root that comes around and kind of comes under. Take that off, and that'll give me back what I need to see. You can see already that this is very long. This back to right here. And then most of this really falls in a line. I'm going to take some ends off. And it fits my vision for where I'd like this tree to be. Picking off a right up bit. Now, I know that this root here is not the best. I'm hoping that all this kind of finds its way and I get more of a root swell up further. So all these roots here I'm hoping will grow real nicely and give me what I need. It's not a bad root system. It really isn't. It's a real long one. I'm going to take that down just a bit. I've had way worse root systems, but as it is, this is what I got to work with, and I'm very, very pleased with it. So I'm going to use new soil for this. I have a constant concern for mealybugs. Pop this right on top there where we can see it. I'm going to dump some soil in. Now my soil scoop is in the wash. So not that I need it right this minute, but kind of dump it all in. Leaf made its way in there. Don't want that. I'm going to nestle this right on top here. Because the tree itself isn't quite centered, I'm going to try to work it towards the center. There we go. Not bad at all. Just making sure I don't have too much stuff in there. I'm going to work this soil in with the correct side of my soil pick here. So again, I grew this from seed, probably from a grocery store lemon. But to be fair, it was a volunteer in another pot. I didn't know what it was, so pulled it out, potted it up, and now I've got what you see today. It's not a terribly big tree yet, but these roots in the sort of general shape that I want, I can let it sit in the pot longer and grow. This has not been repotted very much. There was the one time it fell and I had to just slip pot it, which you can tell did not work out in my favor. I don't want that. That's most of the roots growing out of the screen. These are good roots. So clearly the tree is very alive. But I can't use these because they were stuck in the screen. The screen I've got in there is a little bit more sturdy. It's got bigger holes in it, but I still hope not to have to deal with that. So I'm glad that I saw that and said, hey, you know what? I've got to repot this thing. Otherwise, this may have spent way too much time in there and had bigger issues than just a little bit of, misdirected roots. I might have had actual root binding, and I might have had issues with rot and pests. That's what we're left with. This is a bowl I got from the thrift store, handmade. I really like it. Not sure how well you guys can see it because my lighting's not amazing. But I just drilled a hole in the bottom. Now this is a very thick bowl, so it probably wouldn't have gone too well through the dishwasher or anything, but it does look quite nice. I'll water this in. This watering can is one of the Haws ones. I know a couple folks use them. It works really nicely, except that you can see it drips. And I think that's because it's clogged with something. Maybe I put some fertilizer in here that clogged it. Maybe a bug crawled in there and died. Maybe it's just dust that got in there. I don't know the solution for that, but we'd like to solve it. It's just not big enough and it doesn't have long enough of a spout for many of my trees. So I will probably be searching for something else